All right, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, January 9th. I'm John Weigell here with Juliet, Bennett, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Companies like Dell, AT&T, and Amazon have all been in the news for encouraging their workers to come back to the office. But that decision to enact a mandate has led to employee backlash, office mismanagement, and delays. So what's the rush to get everyone back into the office? Why are the mandates failing? And what are employees doing about it? We'll get to that in a bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. So starting off today, former MoviePass CEO Ted Farnsworth, we all remember MoviePass, faces up to 25 years in prison after pleading guilty to fraud. He claimed to investors that the startup's low subscription price was profitable when the company was actually losing money. As you famously remember, a $10 a month free movies for the rest of the month was crazy, and it in fact was illegal. Next, Delta Airlines announced a partnership with YouTube that grants SkyMiles members free access to YouTube Premium and YouTube Music. I know what I'll be doing on all of my Delta flights. From there, we go to Microsoft. With the new year of AI investments comes a new year of layoffs. Microsoft, after making a $3 billion investment in AI infrastructures in India, just confirmed it's also looking to make cuts to its own company to any, quote, underperforming employees this year. Next, we're on to Starbucks. Starbucks is looking to remedy their sales slump by bringing an ace into the fold, none other than Minnie Mouse. The coffee company is partnering with Disney on a $45 24-ounce stainless steel cold cup featuring white polka dots and Minnie Mouse herself. And finally, in other chain news, Chick-fil-A is now using robots to automate lemon squeezing. Previously, restaurant staff would have to squeeze around 2,000 lemons a day for their trademark lemonade. Now, in a 190,000 square feet plant north of Los Angeles, machines squeeze about 1.6 million pounds of lemons with little to no human intervention. So, Juliet, I know we talked a while ago about those avocado robots that Chipotle started to employ. What do you make of robots making their way into the Chick-fil-A fold and into more fast food?
I think if there's anything that robots should be doing, it is fast food prep, like cutting lemons, avocados, etc. I'm a little less keen on them doing creative work. But I think you want to squeeze lemons? All right, fine, great. Good for them.
Yeah, happy use of that. Don't take my job. Squeeze those lemons instead. Thank you. Hey everybody, it's your host, John Weigell. If you love the insights HubSpot brings to your podcast feed, then you're going to love Marketplace Tech. This daily podcast keeps you up to speed about the latest in tech news and what it all means for the economy. With stories about AI regulation, the fight against misinformation, and the latest in crypto, Marketplace Tech is essential listening to understand the business behind innovation. Listen to Marketplace Tech wherever you get your podcasts. And on to the main story today. Nobody wants to return to the office, really, but select big companies around the U.S. are trying to get their workforce back in person. They don't seem to be doing a great job at it, though. Juliet, what companies have been calling folks back, and where have you seen this happening?
Well, there's quite a few. The one I think we're going to focus on today is AT&T and a little Amazon. The problem being that they don't have the space. They don't have the space for the people they want to come back. There is no office to return to, at least in the droves that they're looking for. And that is kind of the talk of today. Business Insider talked to a few AT&T employees. AT&T kicked off its 5-day return to office mandate earlier this week on Monday. Employees got there and said there weren't enough desks or parking spaces or working elevators. However, and this is my favorite part, there were motivational signs suggesting that they take the stairs.
Wow.
Which is very cool.
Great.
Amazon has kind of the same problems. It's had to delay its mandates because its offices, and this is, of course, corporate Amazon workers, not the delivery drivers, and the people you might see out and about. Yeah, they just don't have enough space at some of their offices. And there is some speculation that companies may be doing this intentionally to try to reduce headcounts. So annoy your workers enough and maybe they'll just quit on their own.
And that might not be a bad strategy if that's what they're exactly trying to do, because I have definitely noticed, especially when Dell released their return to work mandate, I noticed there were a lot of articles talking about employees that were threatening to or did quit because of the policy. And I'm assuming that's going to be a similar problem or maybe solution that AT&T and Amazon are facing right now, that people aren't really excited to return to the office and may be on the lookout for a company that does allow them to work remote in the future.
Right. And there was some speculation. I found a supposedly leaked memo that Dell was doing that on purpose. The problem I think that these companies may be facing is that who is quitting? Who is most likely to quit? So there are a couple of reports that came out that found that the people who are leaving are generally the more skilled employees, the more senior employees, a lot of women actually, and that when they try to replace these employees, it actually is a struggle. It takes them longer. These type of employees are seeking out remote and hybrid jobs, and they're not looking to replace the person that just left because they had to return to the office.
Yeah.
There are some studies and they're kind of conflicting. So I think when we first all did the remote work, it was like, we're just as productive, if not more, because we don't have to commute. That's an extra 2 hours a day. I know I personally am more productive when I'm by myself. And that's because as a writer, I can't listen to anyone else talking. So if I go to an office, I'm just going to wear noise canceling headphones and ignore everyone anyhow.
Yeah.
So it's just easier for me to do that here.
Largely the same. You just lose time on the commute. Exactly.
Right. I mean, and there are some studies that have shown workers can be 10 to 20% less productive when they're at home than in the office. I think certain jobs, certain types of roles where you rely on a lot of communication and a lot of brainstorming with other people, you may find you are less productive when you are at home doing those type of things. But, productivity is hard to quantify.
It is.
Is sitting in a meeting that goes on and on because you're in person productive? Or is it not? Like, are you doing more work? Are you like I think there's a lot of questions we still have to answer about what this means. And then also, you may be trying to squeeze more value out of an employee who is 10% more productive in the office than at home. That may be true, but a lot of these studies do not account for costs like real estate, like having to have that office and have desks and working elevators for everyone, retention, recruitment, replacing these people that were hard to find in the first place and difficult to replace with the policies you have when people are looking for remote work. And if you are introducing people back into an office where it's crowded and they don't have a place to sit down, I'm going to guess your productivity is actually going to be worse in the office than at home, regardless.
Well, especially with a lot of these companies bringing people back and them finding that they don't have a desk or it's very noisy or there's no parking. Obviously, that is a problem. And Amazon, for one company, has delayed return to office in a lot of major cities because of this, because they simply just weren't ready. You also assembled quite a lot of studies and reports on this fact, which I found very, very interesting, especially the review site Blind, which found 73% of corporate Amazon workers would consider quitting just over return to office mandate, and a study by University of Pittsburgh that found that companies with return to office mandates have abnormally high turnover. So, I mean, going back to the beginning of when we started talking today, this doesn't seem like it's a coincidence at all.
No, I don't think so. I think we got a taste of some freedom, the amount of freedom one can have in a 9-to-5 job to wear comfy pants. And now we don't want to give it back.
Yeah, especially like as you hit on earlier for women, considering many women who have given birth or have had a child in the past few years during remote work, or were with a company that allowed them remote work while they had a child or were nursing. Now they have a child still, and the company wants them to come back, which I guess wasn't really part of the deal when they signed on. So I can completely understand that issue and why a lot of women are looking to relocate companies.
Yeah, people's whole lifestyles changed during the pandemic. Not only did people have kids, but people adopted pets, dogs that they now, if you have a dog and you can let the dog out whenever the dog wants to out during the course of your day, take the dog for a walk. These are great little breaks. People also moved further away from the office.
True.
So, maybe some couples went down to one car. Maybe people sold their car entirely because they weren't using it. So there are a lot of lifestyle changes. And to quickly turn that around and say to someone, okay, I want you back in the office 5 days a week, I think that's really jarring for people who have become accustomed to this sort of new way of life.
Sure.
Without a commute. So I think it does benefit companies who can do it to have a remote or hybrid policy. I mean, that is a top attractor of talent. I mean, obviously other benefits and salary as well. But post-pandemic, people want to work from home. There was one study that said 98% of respondents said they wanted to work remotely at least some of the time through the duration of their career. So while there are some people who miss the office, I think by and large, a lot of people would prefer to not go in, and especially not go in every day.
Agreed. I can very much see that, especially given the post-pandemic boom of hiring that we actually talked about. I talked about it with Mark yesterday, that companies now are doing a little more layoffs because maybe they hired too much. Now AI is entering the infrastructure. So they seem to want to shave off some employees, and asking them to come back to office seems like a good way to do it. But yeah, I think companies that want their employees to work remote or see that as a benefit will see benefits for themselves going forward, it seems.
For sure.
All right, and that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got tons more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you tomorrow.